What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Star Wars Reviewed, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but really Episode 4 for the show. I don't, for the first time in the series, have a stupid, funny Joe intro, so we're just going to roll last week's and make JT watch it. John, I'm going to give it right off to you.
All right, go for it. Hit play.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Harry Potter Reviewed here on the Geekiverse YouTube channel and podcast services around the globe. I have my magic wand here.
Oh my god.
Wingardium Levy! I don't think so! This is Star Wars Reviewed here on the Geekiverse YouTube channel and twitch.tv/the Geekiverse. John, break it.
No, this is really the Elder Wand.
Oh god.
JT, I hope you see that, you son of a gun. I love you. But Star Wars is the superior franchise, and that's a hill that I die on. I'm Josiah Leroy today.
JT, I hope you appreciated that.
Oh my
Just
god!
Shout out to whoever I could hear it through my microphone on, because it was literally perfect with the sync I had on my screen. So yeah, and JT, also I can't wait for you to rewatch you watching that, because you had a full on Nick Merckx just forehead view right there.
Yeah.
Got the Nick Merckx cam going on here.
Well,
Joe. You know what?
What's he
Keep
reaching
going.
for? What's he
what's
reaching
happening
for?
here? I don't know.
Is he
He's
about
gonna
to eat
break
some?
his lightsaber.
He's about
Here
to eat
comes
some
a wand.
snacks and touch
Here
his
comes a
dual
wand.
sense.
What? Oh no!
What's he doing?
No! Stop it right now! You're killing him, JT.
Yikes!
Oh my gosh!
That was Mando's flashback.
Oh my gosh! Right now, I was gonna ask you to react, but I think you need a moment to cool off, my friends. Welcome everybody to Star Wars Reviewed. I'm Josiah Leroy. We've got a full house today with mostly huge Star Wars fans. I'm gonna pass it off, Mr. Disruptoid, Mr. Baba Yaga. There it is. There it is. Going with the blue today.
Yeah, I love this
Right?
lightsaber
It is
so
blue,
much.
right? Okay.
Yeah, this is blue. You can't tell by the color of the lightsaber, but you can tell by the reflection on my face. That's how I learned it.
There it is.
I bought this lightsaber for Halloween. It was basically just an excuse to spend way too much money on like a very nice quality lightsaber. So I dressed as Obi-Wan. I charged this thing when I got it, and I have not charged it yet. I used it on Halloween for like 5 hours probably. Turn it on all the time. I have not charged this thing again. Like, what kind of batteries we got going on in here?
Speed of batteries. I have not replaced the batteries in this thing in about 20 years. So let's see what happens. I feel like it'll turn.
It's not going to turn on. There's
No
no
way.
chance.
Really?
There's no chance.
No, it'll give like a quick flash. I think it'll do it.
There's no
While
way.
we're waiting for that, no, it'll happen.
I don't believe
Listen, you don't have any. This is why you would not be a good Jedi. You'd be a Sith. You're just impatient. You know, it's ridiculous.
you. Yikes.
Yeah. Listen, I don't make the rules. George Lucas says, "Oh, it's gonna go to Tim next." JT, Mr. HP. Welcome to your debut for Star Wars Reviewed.
I am beyond happy to be here. And listen, all Harry Potter is better. Truth, but jokes
All right,
aside.
it's not. That's not for this podcast. We're talking about the
Okay.
Phantom Menace here.
We're
We can.
talking about the Phantom Menace, but you know, I'm excited. I am a huge Star Wars fan, obviously. I'm hyped
It's
to
not
be-
obvious to me.
Yeah, with all the slander.
It's not, but I will say, and we'll talk about it throughout the three prequels. I'm a huge
see it?
proponent of the sequels. I've grown to love them more and more. with the
Ooh,
days.
that's gonna be fun to talk about. I hope our schedules align and we can have you on those episodes, because the prequels are gonna be a very fun conversation.
Yes.
I mean sequels. Sorry.
All of this is going to be very polarizing. Tim,
Hello.
You hear
Sorry
that?
if you hear some. Yeah, if you guys hear some background noise, my daughter is officially awake and she's in the living room. So,
That's okay.
just
Hey, it's
FYI.
okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I feel like I haven't watched the prequels in a long time, and then when I did watch them, it wasn't a lot. So, I am really excited to talk about it because I feel like it was a new movie for me, just because I haven't really watched them all that often. So,
Wow.
really excited. Yeah.
well, now's your chance here. What better way to do this than on Star Wars Reviewed? Whether you're watching live at twitch.tv/the Geekiverse, watching at youtube.com/the Geekiverse or listening in on podcast services around the globe. Got a lot to get to today. We're really excited. If you haven't already, go back and check out the first 3 episodes. We've talked A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. We are going in release order for this series. We've had some great discussions so far. Later on in this episode, we're going to rank the movies. We're going to tell you where episode 1 ranks among the other films that we have covered so far, and a lot of other great discussion. If you're watching on the video format, I've got my Baby Maul glass, and what better episode to bring that out on than on this one.
Yes, that's awesome. What a great beer
awesome.
pick too. A good color combination.
I was going for that. Thank you. This is the reddest beer I have. I got Thin Man's Mickey Boodle, my favorite sour ever. Tim, you've never actually seen this glass. This is the second glass I've had.
Don't show him. He's gonna break it.
Yeah, don't show me. I got a Frisbee.
Why would you tell me?
Don't
that now?
show Tim
It's
glassware.
hateful.
It becomes broken.
Tim broke my original glass with a Frisbee in a game of Bottle Bash. It was a great shot.
It was an intense game.
JT was there. The Frisbee hit the glass, and I was still holding this portion. It was just, it was gone.
He did get cut too.
I did get cut. I was bleeding. A bleed for Star Wars, you know. I wish that we had that on film because that would have been, well, a dark memory, but really fun to watch back. So we're going to talk about Phantom Menace in depth today. We're going to kick off with kind of your 101. This is maybe the most polarizing Star Wars film. I feel like this one of all of the films perhaps gets the most pushback, the most hate out there. But as time has gone on, I think not maybe largely, but some pockets of the Star Wars fandom have changed their mind on it or maybe softened a little bit. John, why don't we go to you first? What thoughts overall 101 on Phantom Menace?
It is so easy to watch this movie and to sit back as an adult with a couple of intellectual thoughts up there. There's a few up here, a couple of sophisticated viewpoints, just a few, and see this movie and be like, wow, this is a bad movie. This is like objectively a bad movie. This was made in a pretty rocky way. Especially, it doesn't hold up too well right now. But I love it, man. I love the Phantom Menace. It is so much fun. What I can't fathom is how anybody thinks watching in release order is the way to do it. I just can't. I can't imagine. I'm not even making a joke. I know JT suggested. I'm not even making like a meme to like harp on him. Like the opening scene with the Jedi and having all of those open-ended questions that we were left with from the original trilogy and having them just start to answer them right away. Like the Jedi were this great mystery, and then boom, we get to see 2 Jedi using powers and being like full force, pun intended, that we've never seen before. Like what a cool way to start off the movie and show us like the promise of what the Jedi were. We only got one Jedi. Luke Skywalker was the only active, young Jedi doing Jedi mind tricks and doing fun stuff like that. So just right off the bat to like, all right, we're in here, and or maybe ignore the trade blockades and the boring stuff there. But right after that, we get right into the Jedi and some awesome stuff here. I mean, there's a lot you can pick apart about these prequel movies. A ton you can pick apart about cringy dialogue, things that are very clearly spliced together, stuff that maybe doesn't add up. It's so easy for me as a Star Wars fan to put that aside and just enjoy this era, the beginning of this era, and to see Anakin Skywalker. Shout out to Jake Lloyd. I think that anyone who hates on Jake Lloyd for this movie, you're a clown. I think he did a great job. I think for a child actor, what more could you want? I think it was fun. But just to set up this brand new era of Star Wars, it did, I don't want to say as good of a job as it could have because there's flaws, but I love it.
Jingle all the way to the dark side, baby. JT, you were of the mind when we talked about this series that we should do this in chronological order as opposed to release order, which is what we are doing. Speak to that a little bit, but also give us the 101 thoughts on Phantom Menace.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of what John was saying, right? Like, you really get the full understanding of the story watching it in chronological. I mean, obviously, just in order of the story itself and how the Jedi were kind of built upon. I mean, people argue that the other side, right? The lack. I mean, with the early release movies, not really knowing about the past was kind of interesting. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, I want to know more about the Jedi." When it came out, they want to still watch it in that order, and that's just not me. I'm a big chronological guy. I'm a big stories making sense guy, and all coming together. So that was just kind of my thought process with it. But when I do rewatch it myself, I start off with chronological. As far as Phantom Menace, I it's a little boring to be honest. Out of all, for me personally, it's not my favorite prequel. I won't. We'll get into which one's my favorite when we get to it. But it's Darth Maul is Darth Maul. My first character to ever know within Star Wars, the first toy I ever had was a Darth Maul toy. So,
Me too.
For me, I can't even. I wish I still had it. I had like the like OG like old school Vader toy and Maul toy. But yeah. So for me, it's a little nostalgia, right? Like as a kid, didn't watch them in theaters or anything like that, but just kind of getting into the Star Wars thing at that age was huge for me. So
JT, I'll say prior to the sequel trilogy coming out and Rogue One and Solo and all that, when I would rewatch these, I would do that starting at episode 1 typically. So I understand the thinking there. I do think actually the story is easier to understand if you do it in release order because of just there's a few factors there, but it's Star Wars. I don't think you can go wrong.
I've certainly done it before. I've watched them in chronological order, and I do think there's a noticeable difference in story cohesion. I think it makes a lot more sense, and it's the payout, the rewards for all of this stuff all of the questions that were asked during the original trilogy, I think is much, much grander than seeing it laid out in the prequels and then seeing them call back to it, if you would, in the original trilogy. To me, that just feels like they very clearly, I mean, obviously, just that's how time works. They very clearly answered these questions in a way that was satisfying for people who already knew the questions, right? Like, so I don't. It's just tough for me to be on the side of chronological when it comes to Star Wars, but I digress.
I do think that happens a lot with IPs, where if you go back in time, you do prequel stuff, like you're answering obviously stuff that you know the long-term answer to, and there's a lot of fan service with it. So right. It's
you're answering it in a way that's satisfying for somebody who already is aware of the question.
For sure. Now, John, when we were talking about getting this series rolling, Tim was adamant that we would do machete order, but I was like, listen, you're going to piss off John, so we're not going to do that.
Oh, I would do machete before I would do chronological, 100%. That makes way more sense to me as when it comes to story exposure than chronological does.
This is going to get dicey. I love this.
Absolutely.
Just look at this all over the place. Ooh. We're like the Republic guys. We're just a mess. Tim, give us the Phantom Menace 101 here.
It was kind of nice for me because I haven't watched it in a while, and I don't think I've really sat down and dedicated a full amount of time to watch it, which was kind of nice for me to just, take it in for what it was. Like you guys said, it's not the best storyline for a Star Wars movie, but there was a lot of very nice pieces in it. I think, I kind of talked about in Return of the Jedi, the fact that you get to start seeing, more of the use of the Force and more of the use of the lightsaber battles. I feel like that some of that in here was, you get what you want.
Right.
They kind of
the Jedi are in their prime, like very like these people know what they're doing.
Right, and to see that of like, hey, these Jedi this is what the Jedi is supposed to be, because you just kind of see what Luke and Vader is, and then you kind of see the evolution.
Little cameo,
yeah, of that shutting the bathroom door.
Oh,
so the evolution of that.
Hey, buddy,
you want to talk about it too?
Tim, I totally agree. I think there's a lot to take away that's nice, especially it's hard to think about. Like we grew up, we were pretty young when this movie came out, the four of us. But if you go back to think about growing up with the original trilogy and waiting 16 years from Return of the Jedi to this, and finally getting this and being like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the Republic. Think about that. We take that for granted now.
Right.
Think about the Jedi in their heyday more than just Luke and Darth Vader having lightsabers. You've got an old Ben Kenobi, but he's not there. Or even think about having a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. These concepts that we kind of take for granted now. Granted, we can also talk about the execution of this. It's fine. But if you look at a high scale overview of this, it's pretty awesome that we got this movie still.
Once you accept that it's bad,
shortcomings.
Yeah, once you accept that it's bad, you can enjoy everything else.
Right, yeah, exactly. And again, like,
You know?
I know Joe would never say those words just because he loves Star Wars so much. But like, when
Never.
you think about, a film. It's a bad film. There's very, very, very cringy dialogue. It is spliced together in a way that in certain scenes don't make sense. Like, what, Jar Jar is so hard to understand. Like, I have to watch the movie with subtitles because, like, how do you even get half of what he's saying without subtitles? Again, not the end of the world, but there's some things about this movie that if you're not a Star Wars fan, I understand why you might just watch this one as your first movie and be like, I'm not digging this, which is why I'm such a proponent for, like, especially your first watch, do it in release order, because you're going to start to care about these questions and care so much more about the good in this movie. And there's plenty of it. There's so much good in this movie.
I'm a big sucker for the origin.
Yeah.
Origin stories, a lot of stuff. And I think
sure.
once you introduce Anakin, it's kind of like, all right, this is cool. And then you immediately go into the pod racing. I'm like, this is awesome.
For me, I just
feel like if there was just a more cohesive story, I just felt like it was like point A to point B to point C to point D, and then back to point A, and then.
I think at the end of the day, there's a cohesive story, but it's a boring story. You're
right.
literally talking about a trade blockade. That's kind of the crux of this. It's a politically driven trade blockade where one politician wants to usurp the other. Basically, that's kind of it. But there's a fun twist, and that politician is a Sith Lord, so that's very cool.
And I feel like that's part of the reason why I like this so much in this watch is because I just watched the other three, and like knowing what happens is really nice.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
But other thing I kind of say on top of that I would want to kind of lead into is just. Overall, it's the first time in a long time that I watched that, and I was like, immediately, like, well, I want to watch the next movie like right now.
Right.
Because
I was right there with you.
You want to see Anakin like be older and see Padme again, and it's just like a lot of that.
It's
cool.
I've said it like 3 or 4 times already. That's what Star Wars does the best. They ask you questions that you cannot wait to find out the answer to.
Right, and I like being able to see like, hey, he's very good with the Force, and then seeing like the next is him, progressing to being a Jedi now, which is kind of cool. So.
Every time we record these episodes, I want to jump and watch the next movie. Like I'm going to want to go watch Attack of the Clones after this. It's how it goes with these. And this movie, from my perspective, it's been described as C-SPAN in space. Like that's kind of the funny cliche, right? And then George Lucas has even kind of almost been like, well, what do you want from me? Like, I know, this was going to come across as cheesy, having a 9-year-old boy be the hero of the story. But like, he's like, it is what it is. I think at the end of the day, so to me, like Star Wars is Star Wars. I love it no matter what. I've described myself as like a prequel apologist. I don't care. I unabashedly love Star Wars and I'm going to have fun with it. Phantom Menace, in my opinion, if we're talking about execution and a lot of the shortcomings, comes from not having the right direction, meaning the right director for this. George Lucas, it's not that he didn't try, by the way. There's kind of a misnomer out there that he was like, this is my story. I'm going to do what I want with it and have complete control over it. He didn't want that. He actually sought out a bunch of big name directors to tie themselves to this project and make it happen. But no one wanted to do it because of this very reason. They didn't want to ruin Star Wars. After the incredibly successful, legendary first trilogy and the perception of that trilogy, no one wanted to be the guy or the girl to come in and be like, yeah, I made an average Star Wars movie. Because an average Star Wars movie is a problem, right? Let alone what some might consider to be a bad movie. So there's a lot riding on that from a reputation. Famously, Ron Howard, who came back and directed Solo. He's a very well-respected actor and director. He didn't want to do it. He did not want to be the guy to do this. So I think that's very interesting, and that gets lost in a lot of the history and discussion around the prequels in particular. But there's so much fun that I can pull out of this movie, and I'm going to get into it in my notes later on in this episode. But it's at this point in time, if you're talking from 1983 to 1999, it was good to have Star Wars back. Very much like it was good for us to get Star Wars back when Force Awakens popped back around. I think about Force Awakens, not that I want to get off on a tangent, and how that was received and how that was executed. And I think that is really what the hope was for Phantom Menace. The way Force Awakens came back and just brought Star Wars back with a vengeance. Oh my gosh. like just out of this world. We'll talk about that in a few weeks' time. But Phantom Menace was not quite that, even though it had a lot of hype. Admittedly so. People think about this, guys. This is before the days of smartphones and really even ordering tickets online. People camped out in parking lots to get these tickets. Like, that's so crazy. Oh my gosh. All of it. It's so much fun to me. I'm going to talk about the box office numbers here in just a moment. What we're going to do as a group is we're going to watch the original trailer to this. So you'll be able to watch that if you're watching the video version, or listen to it if you're listening on the podcast services. But from a box office standpoint, anyone have any guesses as to what number this landed at?
Box office adjusted for inflation, 690. Very nice number, 690.
JT? You're in tune with the box office. You made a good prediction on Spider-Man, and you were much closer than I thought you would be.
Same.
700.
No, he's just going up a little bit. Tim?
He prices right at me.
720.
You guys are
Mine was
both prices
720.
right in me.
720. Guys, come
Fall
on.
short.
Be better. 924.
Oh.
Wow.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I'll take it.
Impressive.
In the range of $1 billion, not
I
quite.
feel like it's definitely up there more because it's the first release in what?
For sure.
Oh, no doubt.
Listen,
the hype
Star
is
Wars sells.
Yeah, Star Wars sells, but you're talking what you said, 16 years, right? In between, like
Yes.
you're talking about unprecedented hype. That was like we didn't know that back then. We didn't
People
know
thought
about
these were never going to happen.
right.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't
there-
even know
Lucas says,
Star
yeah, I'm
Wars
going to do
was,
it.
but I wanted everything that had to do with it.
Dude, I have the same story. I didn't
Thing.
I never sat down and like watched Star Wars as a fan. I talked about this in our original trilogy. Like I was not a Star Wars kid growing up. I didn't grow up with the original trilogy. It was on in the background, stuff like that. When the Phantom Menace was around, I'm like, I know my parents aren't going to take me to see this, but I'm caught up in the hype. Like Darth Maul, that dude's got a red face. That's sick. I want to buy his toy. Like all my friends were excited for it. So like even not being a Star Wars fan and not seeing the movie until it comes out like on VHS or whatever, or DVD down the line, the hype was unreal. And even as someone who wasn't a fan, I was very aware of it.
And
Speaking
of-
of,
Darth Maul is
the world
awesome.
of no social media too, man. Imagine that was around like
Right.
this situation.
Dude.
Force Awakens obviously separate, but
It's
just
similar,
oh,
yeah.
dude.
83 to 99 was in the social media era. Oh my gosh.
Phantom Menace would have been destroyed on social media. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
However,
Yeah.
when Force Awakens came around, I remember a coworker sending me a video prior to seeing the Force Awakens, and it was a highlight reel of people walking out of the theater. It was a solid 2 or 3 minutes. I gotta find this at some point, and it's people talking about this like they were talking about Force Awakens. And she goes to me, "What if we're just caught up in the hype, and it's really not good?" And I remember saying, "I don't really care, because the hype is part of the fun for me,
I'm with you.
regardless of what we get here.
Mm.
It's an experience, right, John? Like, you
No
were gonna say
doubt.
something there.
No, I'm with you. No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that too.
Speaking of the VHS and DVD, so got the VHS right there. Loved the Darth Maul eyes in the background. I also forget often about the tagline of this movie. Every saga has a beginning. I love that. I love that marketing. Good stuff there. Of course, the back of the box has Jar Jar Binks. Says a lot there. Got the DVD. Same cover. Got that right there. If you guys had a guess, John, you can't guess. JT or Tim, who's on the steelbook? One character.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. There he is, baby. That's a beauty right there. Back of the cover as the one of the original movie posters. Darth Maul, what a marketable villain, by the way.
100%.
The red and black just is so clean.
I would
Like,
say
it's-
slightly underutilized. Loved it. I mean, like they did a very,
100%.
very good job. Like he was
I feel like coming from Darth Vader, having the red lightsaber and the black, going to
Right.
a character that's a black and
that literally
red face.
physically is red and black.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's
Again,
talk about that really quick before we get into the trailer. Darth Maul, I agree, John. Underutilized.
yeah. And I don't
Uh,
think to a point where it's like a crazy detriment. Like he's still like using him sparingly also has had an effect as well, right? Maybe
Right.
more so if you would have kept him alive for a second one, but the impact was there. He's just such a cool character. I just want to see more, and luckily we do later with
we do. in
yeah,
Clone
for
Wars.
for sure. Luckily we do. I'm
Double
happy about
lightsaber?
that.
Or
Oh,
the-
dude,
Yeah.
dude.
Crazy to kill him off in a way that quick. I know this is not about Darth Maul. This is about Anakin, right? But that being said, Crazy that George Lucas tells us 2 years ago that Darth Maul would have been the main villain of his sequel trilogy. If he were the guy that did episodes 7, 8, and 9, Darth Maul is the big bad. That's super interesting, and I would be very intrigued to see what that would have looked like. As a guy, by the way, who really loves overall 7, 8, and 9. But I'd love to see what the creator, the mind behind Star Wars, had really in mind for the execution of those. John, do you want to cue up the trailer here?
Yeah, I got it here. You guys ready to go?
Yes.
JT, Tim, you guys ready for the trailer?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I just have to.
That's why I want
I
to be sure.
accidentally canceled it.
It's got to be all
When
in
I
sync
exited
here.
out of the other one, it was
I'll
I'm
do
ready.
it to you. Ready to go? All right, go ahead and play it, guys.
I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war.
A communications disruption can mean only one thing: invasion.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
Begin landing your troops.
We haven't much time.
The Federation has gone too far.
The death toll is catastrophic.
Our people are dying, Senator. We must do something quickly.
You must contact me.
There is something else behind all this, Your Highness. They will kill you if you stay. I can only protect you. I can't fight a war for you.
I think we're going to have to accept Federation control for the time being.
This is a battle I do not think that we can win.
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
You said people gonna die?
Once those droids take control of the surface, they will take control of you.
I was not elected to watch my people suffer and die while you discuss this invasion in a committee. Get to your ships!
They will never get me onto one of those dreadful starships.
Always two there are: a master and an apprentice.
Wipe them out. All of them.
very interesting.
It's a hype trailer. I mean, what stands out to me the most, just because like it's my one, I've talked about a couple of gripes with the movie, whatever. My one irrational hatred every time I watch this movie is that all of the battles on Naboo look like a stupid Microsoft Windows XP background. Like the landscapes in Naboo during all the battles are so uninspired, especially compared to all of the other set pieces in this movie. Like everything else is so lovingly crafted. Like your faraway shots of cities, Coruscant, even Gungan City, everything like that. Like, everything looks so good, and then these stupid battles just look like green plain hills. That's a tangent. The trailer did a good job setting the tone. Showed a lot more than I expected it to.
So to say, it's that territory of, hey, we're in modern day where we're starting to show everything. So
right, exactly.
I gotta say, there's one thing that really stands out to me in that trailer, and it's that everything Padme says is not how it is voice recorded in the movie. Like those are all redubbed.
No doubt.
That's weird to me.
It makes sense because of the switch with. I have another thought about Padme that just popped in my head. Nobody knew that Queen Amidala's first name was Padme. Nobody knew that. They just like, how would you not know her name? She's calling her handmaiden Padme. It's not like there was like that always bothers me too.
John,
that
it's
continuity.
just as silly as hiding Luke and naming him Luke Skywalker. Like leaving that name. Like if you're hiding him, why would you not
Right. That's
anything else.
That makes too much sense.
But that's retcon stuff. This is all within one movie. Like, that's not like they had to go back, 15, 20 years and, make that decision and find out that he was hidden. This is all in the same movie where you make that decision that we're going to make her have a body double, but we're still going to call her Padme, which is actually her first name. I digress.
The voiceover stuff is very weird to me. I don't think this is a great trailer. It's messy. It throws a lot at you. However, I'll say, if I put myself in those shoes, I'm 16 years or maybe 15 years after Return of the Jedi. There's a lot of fan service in there. Get a glimpse of C-3PO, R2, Jabba,
yes,
lightsabers. Oh my gosh, the Palpatine looks, the idea that they have to accept Federation control. It's there are some good things for sure. Just in hindsight, little messy.
I agree.
You got to see why.
I was gonna say it's not a great trailer, but they give you all of those beats that somebody who has been a Star Wars fan is like, oh, that I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see the hype it could build, but in the same note, looking at it from modern day, it's kind of like, hey, this is basically tells you the whole story in one trailer. So,
but that was just a common theme back in 22 years ago. It's just show everything in a trailer. You know what I mean? I think we're spoiled in this day and age.
And once you've seen the movie, it's kind of tough to remove yourself from the fact that, like, I can put together all of the plot beats because I know it. You know?
Right.
Yeah, lots of talk in there, but lots of action too, for sure. Does anyone remember their first viewing of this? Like, was it in theaters? John, probably not.
No, not me. Mine's the same story as it's been. It's So I definitely had seen this one more often than the original trilogy back, just like on in syndication. I may have even had the DVD to just ask to get it and toss it on. Never really paid too much attention to it. But the first time I remember sitting down is that week that I've talked about every week here so far. I was like, all right, Disney buys Star Wars. I want to get in. I watched all 6 movies at that time, back to back to back, in like a 1 week of a winter break. So that's definitely remember that. But
Tim, do you remember your first viewing?
Yeah, it was just on the couch watching some TV, and it was on. I wasn't like I was going out of my way to watch it, so that's kind of how I felt about the prequels. So
I will say that I recall hating it when I just watched the original trilogy. I was like, all right, I'm down. Like, I'm into Star Wars. Like, I can't wait to get more into this franchise. And I was looking at the movie so objectively that I saw this for the first time. And I'm like, I hate this. This sucks. And I was on that train for a little while. I'm like, the prequels are terrible. Like, what? This is what they followed it up with? It took me, I had to learn that I like Star Wars and I like the world. And I had to learn that there's so much to appreciate about these prequels when you enjoy the world of Star Wars. It took me a bit, but I got there.
Listen, John needed to record a few episodes of a show called Hindsight with me to realize it was okay.
No, it's not even that. It came long before that.
Well, whatever. JT, do you remember your first?
Oh, I do. I don't remember specifically obviously when, date, whatever. But I watched the 3 prequels the same time I played this.
Yes.
I do. This is directly connected to when I watched those movies.
And that, as we talked about on the last few episodes, how the books came out, that game came out before the movie.
Yep.
That's
just
crazy.
saying.
Got me into it.
What a wild time.
Did you ever play the alternate ending? JT, did you know there's 2 endings to it?
No, I definitely did not play both. No, I didn't even know.
So there's the regular ending, regular from the movie.
Right.
Then there's an alternate ending. I don't remember how you trigger it, but Anakin beats Obi-Wan and the Emperor shows up, and then Anakin just defeats the Emperor and basically says, no, my new empire. And that's how it just goes dark. And it's kind of cool. Like, it's fun.
Can you please get a what if type of series?
Yeah.
We did. It's called episode 8. Did Kylo not literally just do what you just said?
No.
He didn't?
No. We're gonna talk.
Okay, let's get a what if for the prequel. That's all. I actually, is there a way for me to play this?
Pretty sure Kylo had a My New Empire scene in the throne room there, but I'm just saying.
Can I play this on the PS4?
I don't think so.
No. I mean, they're not Xbox. You can't. There's no backwards compatibility.
Damn.
JT, I have the Xbox. I had it on original Xbox, so I'll let you borrow that.
There you go. Pop
You
it in
can
the
pop
Series
it in
X.
any Xbox. And, yeah, there you go.
I want to play this. I really do.
It's fun. It's not a great game, but because of the content,
You know why I like played it? It was like one of the few co-op, local co-op games that my brother and I owned. We just played it together.
Right.
So you watched Phantom Menace as a result of that?
It made me want to watch the movies. Yep. I think I went.
Kind of how I was with Fallen
It was
Order.
like DVD or VHS, whatever it was. I made my parents go rent. Well, take me to go rent it at Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
That's a good story. I like that. I like that a lot. For me, I did see this in theaters. I was already a mega Star Wars fan at this point because, as we talked about on past episodes, went to the '97 special edition releases of the original trilogy. So me, my mom, dad, sister went and saw this, and I remember loving a lot of the movie as a kid and just being like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool! Star Wars is back! The pod race sequence, Darth Maul, the lightsaber duels, just awesome." And John, I remember thinking about the podcast or the pod race and being like, "This is like NASCAR." I only laugh because we have a mutual friend who really enjoys NASCAR. Yeah,
I would watch pod racing. I would watch the same pod racing scene for 2 hours on loop before I'd watch a NASCAR race. And I even think the podcasting. Oh, I was supposed to start the show with now this is podcasting. Dang it. Oh, that was my plan. I thought about it all day. Then we had to record another show, whatever.
We can cut a clip at the end and put it up front. It's fine.
Now this is podcasting. I'll put that there. Perfect.
Yeah.
Someone.
I love it. I love it.
Oh no, Pig 2214. I love NASCAR, so I'm going to the 500 on the 20th. I can't wait. Oh my god, I'm so sorry to offend the NASCAR fans, but pod.
I love it.
I can't stop saying podcasting. Pod racing, objectively better. It is really difficult.
Podcasting, actually.
Yeah, Tim can't say without saying podcast.
Yeah.
Pig in the chat. Listen, at the time, I really liked NASCAR.
At what time?
I respect it more than most people do. But it's just kind of funny because Trevor.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, we appreciate the input. That's awesome.
I love it, dude. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, even as somebody who thinks the pod racing scene is just a little too long, there's some fat to be trimmed on the pod. Almost at podcasting again on the racing. There's a little fat to be trimmed. I don't know where it is. Maybe some of the Sebulba stuff. I don't know, but there's a little bit of fat to be trimmed. Because I was watching again today. And
I agree with that. There's a little bit there, but it's just
I think
love it.
It's done.
I can't explain it either,
dude.
Because
It's done so well.
It's actually really good.
It's done so well. The sense of speed and like the insecurity of those vehicles comes across so well. It's like, yo, that thing is being dragged by a couple of wires, and it's so like swingy. I don't know what the right word is, but it just does not feel very stable. Feels very dangerous. It's enthralling to watch pod. Racing.
I think part of the part that makes it like give you a little bit of suspense is because he breaks his piece on his pod race at the beginning, and you don't know when that's going to come into play.
Oh, for sure.
And like as you're watching, you're like, well, when is it going to break down?
Oh no, didn't it come into play right away? You couldn't really start up.
No, I don't know if that was from that because it didn't happen until the end when it popped off.
I guess that's true. That's the same piece. Yeah, that's true.
That's what I thought at first when I was watching. I'm like, I don't know if it was really off until then.
So he just couldn't figure out how to start the thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Stupid kid.
Pig, I gotta say, I am jealous that you are going to the Daytona 500 because I feel like that would be a really fun event.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the Super Bowl right there for y'all.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that a lot. Pig, let's talk offline about NASCAR. It's okay. So why don't we get into my notes here? I think this will spur some good discussion here. First of all, we talked about it. Can you believe they talk about a trade dispute in the crawl?
I remember my point really quick here. We talked about the trade dispute quick.
Go ahead.
After starting to listen to the Light of the Jedi makes me appreciate that a lot more.
You know what? I'm gonna rephrase that in my words. They do it so much better in the book.
Agreed.
Like they're like
listening to that. It's like cool to like
for sure. Politics have always been a part of Star Wars. That's kind of the whole point of the rise of the Emperor and stuff like that. Like there's a political path to make that happen, right? Like he doesn't just murder people to take over. He finds a political path to rise to power. He's voted as Supreme Chancellor. We see that in this movie, right? So there's lineage there for sure. But to start the crawl off with a trade blockade, not just that, you jump right to the ship with the Gungans and they just start talking about the details of this trade blockade. It's like bold strategy.
Imagine like being us, our age now,
Right, 7 years old.
Seeing this and just being like, holy crap, there's the logo. There's the 20th Century Fox. We're going into Star Wars. All right.
Dad, what's a blockade?
Trade block. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like, that's how I feel a little bit. I know that's silly, but
yeah, no, it's not. They missed it by one beat. Like they had to set up the Jedi being there for some reason, and the diplomatic mission and the short negotiations. All of that paid off well. They somehow had to shorten that up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Obi-Wan Kenobi, very early in the movie. I have a bad feeling about this. First one to say it in the prequels trilogy. Yep. Gotta love it. I'm gonna call it out every time. I failed to write down which number this is for my I have a bad feeling about this counter, but I think it's 4 or 5. Gotta love it. Have you guys seen the movie Fanboys? Have you ever heard of the movie Fanboys?
I think I've heard you talk about this before.
So I only heard about it to this day because my dad told me about it and he saw it, get this, in the newspaper. So I want to say this came out, 12-ish years ago, if not a little further back. Long story short, Fanboys is about a bunch of Star Wars fans, fictional, that it's a group of friends, and the one has cancer, and he only has about 6 months to live. The movie's coming out in 7 months, and they make it a mission to basically go to Skywalker Ranch and see the movie, to steal the film before it comes out. The Phantom Menace specifically. It's hysterical. A lot of big names are in the movie. And I encourage everyone to go check it out. It's hard to find nowadays. I think you can probably buy it on DVD, and that's about it. It's really, really good. It was a limited edition release in movie theaters. And I don't care if this is spoilery. But how it ends is the friends are sitting in the movie theater on opening night for Star Wars. And they're hyped. They've talked about it ad nauseum. And it ends with the one friend going to the other, what if it's bad? And then the credits roll. And I think it's so classic. Because like you said, John, I'll never sit here and be like, yeah, Star Wars is bad. I can't. I love it too much. But I think that's really awesome humor. That's funny, to be like, what if this is how it ended up? Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, Fanboys, go check it out. Guys, John Williams.
Dude.
Talk about him all night. His score in this movie,
the Duel
maybe
of
his
the
best.
Fates. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's so good. All throughout the film. I would say if you're thinking that this story lacks in excitement, we've talked about it being boring at times, maybe not executed properly. There's one thing that never falters, and it's John Williams' score throughout all of this. It is awesome. And a lot of this is brand new Star Wars themes that set the tone for the rest of the prequel trilogy. It is brilliant. All these scores ended up being used in the countless video games, what I consider the golden age of Star Wars video games, even though we're about to go into a new one with 8 in development. But right around this time in the prequels, when you had new books, new media coming out left and right, a lot of what he wrote there was used. I mean, I'm to the point, I don't know if you guys are on the same page, where if you were to play a song from this movie or a score, I would tell you what scene is happening.
You can place it, yeah. Definitely storytelling by soundtrack, no doubt.
It is next level, even for someone as legendary as John Williams. I'm so thankful that we had him for the sequel trilogy, by the way.
The whole ride, man. The whole ride.
He's older. He's up there in years. He could have been sick. He could have passed away. He could have said, I don't want to do this. I'm done. I'm retiring. But he came back, and oh my gosh, I think he did a similar thing. I
would argue he did his best work with one song specifically in the sequel trilogy. But we'll get to that.
Oh, all right. I can't wait to talk about that. Don't forget it.
I won't.
It's really good. Listen to the soundtrack. From time to time, I'll put it on in the car. Even like it's so well done. Nice to see a lot of Jedi lightsaber action in this. I talked about on our last episode liking the fact that Luke Skywalker was moving around with his lightsaber more than we had seen in the previous movies.
Yeah.
Here we're seeing Qui-Gon, we're seeing Obi-Wan. They're all over the place. It's constant. Obviously, we got the big battle at the end. but it's
And
nice to see someone other than Luke have that, right?
No doubt, right out of the gate too. It's like such a good job of just showing you, like, yo, this was a lot more, you know, a lot more athletic back in the day. Like the first scene, I mean, second scene after the trade blockade, I should say. But Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just like battling through the battle droids and cutting down walls and using that super fast speed thing they've only ever used once for some reason. Just very cool way to set up, like, the Jedi know what they're doing.
The Jedi dash.
Yeah, the Force dash.
Yes.
It's got a name. It doesn't get used again, so I wouldn't expect that.
You gotta play Force Unleashed, that's why.
Yeah.
Only canon for me, Joe.
Only canon. That's fair. Yeah, if you miss the boat, you miss the boat. I remember Qui-Gon throwing the lightsaber in that door and be like, oh my gosh.
Oh, so good.
That can happen.
Yeah.
It was so cool. So cool.
Lets it melt.
What's up, Tim?
I said he lets it melt. It was pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
I'm very curious to hear what you guys will say to this next statement. Say what you will about the character, but I think Jar Jar Binks looks good.
No, what?
I knew John would have a problem with it.
What about Jar Jar Binks? Look, you think he's cute? What do you mean when he looks good?
He's adorable. No, I think actually, if you're looking at all the CG in this movie, that is one of the I don't know how to put it. It's some of their better work.
I feel like they made it their better work because it was in there so much. I mean, I'd agree with that. Some of it's very. I don't think it's like good, but I don't think it's the worst. In the
Character-wise, like on other Gungans, other obviously CG characters, I'll give you that. They do such great work with the space and ship battles. Like that's their best work. That's the bread and butter of Star Wars. That is where their CG like literally set the course for where computer graphics would go for the future. Right. Yeah, for the time, Jar Jar was good. Yeah, no doubt. Like the motion capture was very clear. Like they did things that made it ahead of its time a little bit. But it doesn't hold up. The shadows and the aliasing, it just aren't there. Like not even close to, not even modern stuff. Like it didn't. And again, it's not their fault at all. Like the technology advanced very, very quickly. Like we figured this stuff out. The computing power got there. The techniques got there. It's not their fault. Does it look good for 99? Sure. Does it look good now? I can't say that with a straight face.
I think it depends on what you're talking about. Like obviously, if we're talking Thanos, like come on, of course. But like some things that come out, I'm like, doesn't look as good.
I can't.
We're talking about a joke of a character.
Can't get there with you. But hey, each their own.
That's most of the reason why I typed that sentence out.
I'll take
it. So, do you guys know who plays the decoy queen throughout most of this movie?
Yes, Keira Knightley.
Yes. So, her mother was on the set and kind of famously behind the scenes, like could not tell the difference between her and Natalie Portman. I always thought that was interesting because they really do.
They look so
look a lot
similar
alike
in this movie.
It's kind of crazy, you know, especially with the makeup and the garb and all that.
They even talk so similar too. I feel like.
I think so. I think I can get there. The Royal Naboo starship is beautiful. That's one of the best looking starships in all of Star Wars. It's that shiny ship that they escape on and they take to Tatooine. And I love the little tidbit that is what Captain Phasma's armor is made out of. If you remember in Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Kind of a nice little Easter egg. Talk about some of the introductions. I think this movie does. So we talked about Return of the Jedi and how they introduce our main characters. We talked about a little bit with Force Awakens, how it was one after the other, right, to introduce a new trilogy of characters. I think Phantom Menace does this well for the most part. When we're getting new characters, there's a lot to really unpack here, but kind of a good way to introduce R2-D2 right on the Naboo starship. It's not like out of left field. He just happens to be a service droid on this ship that is from Naboo.
Agreed.
And
I love it.
He's the successful one, right? The other ones get blown away. Like, I don't know, kind of like it.
Stands out for a reason. Yeah.
Sure.
People do harp on like the introduction of R2 and C-3PO and talk about how convenient it is. Like to me, it's just fun. Like, oh, of course we're gonna get those two droids and we're gonna learn their lineage as well, and makes sense they stuck around, right? It's all the same cause.
They're so important to Star Wars lore. Like, come on, yeah. Well, we could talk about this on a different show, but in hindsight, there's so much fan service for Phantom Menace throughout Book of Boba Fett. If you're not watching that, I would encourage you to go do so. Definitely gets better as you go along. It's not on the level of Mandalorian, but there's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff that you'll pick out, especially if you're a longtime Star Wars fan, that are pretty crazy. This is what I wrote down, and I stand by it. Darth Maul is the coolest.
All you gotta say.
Nothing. Yeah.
All you gotta say. True statement. So dope, dude. So dope. I just love I wish I didn't know that he had the dual lightsaber before I watched this for the first time, because like just watching him fight with Qui-Gon on Tatooine, like with just the one blade out, and just have that payoff lit, and like you can kind of tell like, why is he holding it so high? Why is the hilt so big? Like there's hints there, like something's up for sure. So like to get that payoff, the final fight there where you just boom, other side flips out, like imagine seeing that for the first time.
Disappointment we didn't get more. That's what my thought on it is. It's just,
I mean, so
I wish there was more to it.
With like John said, with Clone Wars and Rebels, and I don't know if you guys watched that. I'm sure you probably did. I don't know if you did, Tim, but and Kenobi, we're expected to see him again. So
yeah, no doubt. For sure. Like that, I'm glad they went back and gave us more of that character, but like the potential was here for more in these films for sure too.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what you guys said though. Release order, so it gives you some kind of I mean, technically, you're just getting more of it later on. So, you guys like that with Star Wars? This is weird.
We're talking movies, bro.
I'm just saying, though.
Stop it.
Technically, you guys are big on the let's see it down the road. I mean, that's what you get with this series.
I don't understand how a release order justifies killing him off in the very first movie. I don't see how you're tracking there, but
Ellie came over laughing at that comment, by the way.
Yeah,
she was like,
as did I. Yes. Man, John, I totally agree. Imagine if we didn't know that was a double-bladed lightsaber. Like, oh
so cool.
My gosh.
Was that
cool.
I imagine that was in the marketing too. Like that was probably already well known before the movie came out.
I'm 99% sure.
I'm sure, right?
A different trailer, or even like the commercial spots they would have had.
I guarantee the toys came out
where
too.
He shows that, yes,
right?
Like all the toys were on sale before the movie's out. Like double lightsaber.
The book, the toy, all that stuff. Yeah, how sick with it? Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys play this on PlayStation 1? By the way, there was an episode 1 tie-in. Yeah, it's terrible, but like I played the heck out of it. Oh my gosh, I had a good time.
I love terrible PS1 games, but can't say I played that one.
There's no such thing.
For sure. You can, at the end of the game, beat Darth Maul with a blaster.
Nice.
Why?
It's his weakness. It's the ability to like deflect with two edges. I mean,
get out of here. Jedi Fallen Order. Cal Kestis is really good with double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah.
Sure is.
I don't know.
That is true.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say, the hype with Darth Maul's lightsaber is kind of like how it was with Kylo Ren. Remember, we get that first Force Awakens trailer and we get the cross guard like lightsaber and we're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Like every time they have a variant on the lightsabers for Star Wars, it's so much fun. Let's see. I remember behind the scenes kind of watching some of the extras on the DVD, and Rick McCallum is kind of like George Lucas's right-hand man, for better or worse, probably for worse with the prequels. He kept talking about how great Ian McDiarmid was in this movie as Palpatine. And George Lucas kind of like shuts him down quickly. And he's like, well, Ian's always great. I want to talk about Natalie Portman. George Lucas loved Natalie Portman and her performance in this, which is kind of funny because it's very meh. It's very middle of the road. I'm not saying it's bad.
It's dry. It's dry and bland, but you imagine that's the reason he says that, because that's how she was directed. You know, like she is not performing that way just because that's the way she performs. Like that was very clearly the direction. She was supposed to be like this neutral character, very I almost said Shakespearean again, but that's the Leia term. I don't know, but very neutral, very dry. And I think she pulls it off well. So like in Lucas's eyes, like she nailed what he was going for. So makes sense to me at least.
I feel like having the dry personality for her wasn't a bad thing, because I feel like it builds to the character development in the later movies of.
I agree.
The development of between her and Anakin of like getting out of that shell. So
right.
I think that's.
I like Padme in this movie a lot.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Quick sidebar. Lauren, my wife, filmed a makeup tutorial on how to do Padme Queen Amidala's makeup. So you can check that out on youtube.com/the Geekiverse. We have it on our channel.
It's very impressive. I've seen that before. That's probably like one of the best videos on our channel that probably doesn't get the love it deserves. Like, that's super impressive.
I gotta say, Lauren's really good at that stuff. And for a while we were like doing one a month, and I would be like, hey, what character can we do next? She'd be like, I don't know, I'll do Clementine from Walking Dead. She just, like, I don't understand how she does it. I can't draw a straight line, and she's, doing that.
Yeah, doing cell shading on her face.
Right. Bonkers. She did a great job with that. I'm a little biased, but go check it out. In Watto's shop, we get to Tatooine. You can see 3PO's golden parts all over Watto's shop, and I kind of think that's interesting.
Oh, never knew that. That's cool.
I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, so obviously no coverings on 3PO. You see all the wires.
Very naked.
Very naked. How did this get the rating it got? But if you look around the shop, there on numerous occasions are parts for a protocol droid, which you would kind of draw the consensus that is how they eventually plated him. So, I don't know, fun Easter egg. Also, speaking of Easter eggs, in Anakin's room, back in the hut, you see a little statue figure of what becomes Maz Kanata, the character from Force Awakens.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What?
There's a Maz
Be
Kanata.
careful, I have not seen it, so I don't know.
Doesn't matter. No, it's not spoiler. It's just
You
character.
saw Force Awakens.
What was that? The first one? Oh, yeah, it's the first one. Duh.
However, Maz is also in Rise of Skywalker, so I won't spoil that
Okay,
for you, Tim.
got it.
But yeah, there's one there. It's there. John's looking it up right now.
I just want to see it. I've never noticed that. Yo, what? That is such a cool. That is such a cool thing.
Right? I love Star Wars for that reason.
That's super. I mean, again, it's not like they planted that. Like 20 years from now in Episode 7, we're gonna make this character. But what a cool.
It's the opposite.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
on JJ to go back and do that. That's awesome.
Exactly. There's stuff that you notice in hindsight now that they did, which is awesome. Lucas said there we go, John. John's got the visual. Yeah, Maz Kanata, man.
That's awesome.
It is cool.
I love that stuff. I love it. It just makes it so much fun. Lucas said he could not resist, in addition to Luke and Leia, making Vader the father of 3PO. I think that's kind of funny. It's having a little bit of fun with it. Come on, it's fun. Like
3PO kind of sucks. I'm just gonna say it. We're on the 4th episode of this franchise. If there's been one thing that's consistent throughout Star Wars, C-3PO always sucks.
I disagree.
I don't think he was bad in this episode.
He sucks in general.
Return of the Jedi. It was
the sequels.
We'll get there
him in the sequels.
We'll get there when we get there. We're 4 movies in. C-3PO has always sucked so far.
I think C-3PO's best episode is episode 9, which we won't spoil for Tim.
I'm in this universe, I've only seen 4 Star Wars movies, and C-3PO has sucked every time.
Of all of John's hot takes, I think that's the funniest one. And I respect it, but I like that he sticks to his guns with it. John, I think we should next year on Halloween go as C-3PO and R2-D2. What do you think?
Do you want me to just beat the shit out of you? I just can't just see a C-3PO in front of me and not just turn it into a box of tinfoil. Come on.
We just stopped being friends after that.
I mean, sorry, man. You asked for it. You know how I feel about 3PO. You gonna show up at my door, 3PO? Come on. Come on.
I'm gonna do it now. Tim or JT, I'm gonna need you to film all of this happening.
There, we'll do.
How would I be R2? Wait, logistically, how does that work?
Listen, I don't make the rules, okay?
Qui-Gon
catching Jar Jar's tongue, I think, is actually pretty funny.
Agree. Oh, I'm a Jar Jar apologist. I don't like
do that again.
Talk about this. Mr. Jar Jar looks awful. Okay, talk about it.
Well, like, I mean, CGI looks bad. Like the shadows are just insulting in the character. But I mean, like, I think there's some fun levity to Jar Jar. I think he's overused. I think I just think that in general he should be a little more legible in the way he speaks. But I don't know, it's a fun character. I don't understand the backlash. I don't. It's not like he's like a central plot point right? Like he doesn't matter. Like yeah, he gets a.
He doesn't ruin the movie for me.
Right, exactly. I
Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks.
oh what I'm so no, what a stupid theory.
I love that theory. I think that's so much fun.
It was fun. It was fun for a while. It was fun. Yeah,
fun.
for sure. Because everyone just kept doubling down and like finding new stuff. Like I take back that I hate that. That was fun.
That was so much fun, and you can honestly make the argument that George Lucas could have gotten there because of some of the crazy stuff that happened.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot that's planted.
They were doing is, if I swear, if he popped up, not just this isn't a spoiler towards 9, but if he popped up in 9,
wouldn't have been surprised. What a hype fan service moment. No, I don't hate Jar Jar. I don't think it's. I just think the backlash on both Jar Jar and young Anakin are just like so like that's where you're focusing on. There's some of this dialogue between all of these characters like Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, some of the stuff they say, and you're focusing on the kid and the CGI character. Like that's what takes you out of it. I'm like, all right, have fun.
Yeah, I think they just became the poster childs for anyone who didn't like this.
They did
for whatever reason, and it's unfortunate. And honestly, from a real world perspective, Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best, who played those characters, like they really put up with a lot of crap because of that. And like these roles ruined their lives in a lot of cases because of the backlash there. It's like it's kind of ridiculous. Like come on, at the end of the day, this is a silly movie. I'm gonna say that, and you know how passionate I am and how much I care about Star Wars. But at the end of the day, it's just a movie.
Yeah, people's lives don't equal, what we're talking about here. I'm so glad to see Ahmed Best like be invited back to certain stuff and have him participate. Like that that's been very cool to see. But I mean the harassment and stuff like it just come on, grow up.
Yes, 100%. What I was going to say, grow up. That's a joke. Yeah, but great to see Ahmed Best. He's at Star Wars Celebration a few years back, and you can kind of see it, and it's sad in the interview. Just that this really affected him in a poor way. I hope Jake Lloyd can get around to this, that he maybe comes back to one of these celebrations eventually. Because that sucks. That sucks.
Right, no doubt.
And then John will inevitably ask the question, when is Jingle All the Way 2 coming?
There is one. Are you not aware?
Oh, there is!
What's
his name?
Stupid Larry the Cable Guy.
It's not really, though.
What an offensive way to bring... Like, there's nothing more offensive than the other...
That doesn't count.
The second Jingle All the Way. There's nothing that's offended me more than that in this lifetime.
That counts as much as, like, Home Alone 3 counts. Like, that's
There's
stupid.
another Home Alone, too, that they just put on Disney+.
There are 6 Home Alone movies.
That doesn't track. That doesn't... What?
Yeah.
They kept doing them? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Home Alone and Reviewed.
Stupid.
Coming next.
Can't wait.
Home Alone and Reviewed.
Home Alone 3 is the best one out of all of them.
Okay, Harry Potter, get out of here.
Oh my! I do recall that being one of your hot Facebook takes. Oh my God, Home Alone 3, the best of all.
Wait, he's not messing?
No, he's not kidding. He's not kidding. Him and his brother both doubled down.
Yeah, they don't like.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Cake or cannoli either. So
it's the truth, man.
It's not.
I'm about to rage quit right now. We'll talk about that again off air, JT. So, ironic that Anakin brings the quote, "No one can kill a Jedi." Well, someone can, and their name is you.
Does he kill any Jedi or just Padawans? No full-grown Jedi.
No, he definitely kills Jedi.
That's very true.
Yeah. The Anakin.
Sorry.
The Anakin having no father concept, like that Palpatine essentially created him out of nothing.
Hate it. It's just not necessary. Like it's a story beat that's just not necessary.
We didn't need to know who his father was.
Right. Again, yeah.
At all.
It could have been, even if you wanted to ask, have Qui-Gon ask the question, it could have been a throwaway line. It's like, oh, we haven't been together in years. He's not in the picture. Like, just like the Immaculate Conception parallel is just not necessary.
It's a little silly, for sure. Feelings on midi-chlorians.
Fine. It's not as bad as everyone talks about. Like, it's a meme now. It's not as bad.
It's not as egregious as people say, like Jar Jar, Jake Lloyd, right? But
right.
It's like...
It's on that level where it's like, what are you nitpicking this for? Like, who cares? It's Star Wars. It's fun. Do I wish that there was no measurement for, the someone's how in tune they are with the Force? Sure. But, you he's trying to establish lore. He's trying to get more into this. We're trying to get to the point where like this is the height of the Jedi for the most part, right? So we're trying to like really develop what makes the Force, and we're trying to quantify how in tune somebody is. Again, the crux of this is we're trying to quantify how much more in tune with the Force Anakin is than anybody else. So what's the best way to do that? Dragon Ball Z. Let's put a number on it. Let's put a power level on these people.
It's over 9,000.
Exactly. It's the Goku effect. This is his power level. So I can just say this one word. I can give you this number so you understand that Goku is now 20 times stronger than Frieza when he went Super Saiyan, right? Like it's just a quick little, I got it. Josiah definitely understands all these references.
I'm sorry, did you say Grogu? Because that's what I heard there. Okay.
Yeah, Super Saiyan Grogu.
Okay, Padawan.
Yeah, I agree. Like you had to establish this guy's off the charts, really powerful and sensitive when it comes to Force sensitivity.
Right.
So
that being said, I think they could have just achieved that with the pod racing stuff. Like, all right, these reactions are inhumane. Like this, he shouldn't be able to do this. Like he's very clearly in tune with the Force, like something we've never seen before, right? Like you could have established that without the midichlorians. And again, it never really comes back to be referenced again. Besides this, like this is really the only time midichlorians really matter, right? So we could have done without it. I think that George Lucas heard the feedback loud and clear and kind of just like let it fizzle away.
Disappeared.
And in Mandalorian, they kind of indirectly bring up midichlorians in like the 5th episode of that first season when they're trying to talk about cloning.
Yep.
Pod race. Pretty freaking epic.
Dope.
Really well done. It's long, but I think the pacing is mostly good.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the perspective and the sense of speed, like like Star Wars, they crushed it with like their space dogfights. Like they pioneered in space dogfights, cockpit view, stuff like that. Like that was invented in Star Wars. They did it so well back in the 70s, right? But they did it again with like this, like on the ground land speeders, just the sense of speed and the danger. They crushed it. They're so good at vehicles and chases and momentum, I guess I could say too.
So Darth Maul, which is pretty awesome. A few years ago, he was a guest at Nickel City Con, local Comic-Con in Western New York that we're a part of. And Lauren and I go to get pictures with him. You pose for pictures with all these celebrities. I was just like, oh my gosh. I told him, I'm like, you are my favorite Star Wars character. And he's like, oh my gosh, that is so nice to hear. Thank you so much. So we get a really epic picture. Lauren goes to get a picture, and like, I don't know if you know how much you know about Ray Park, but like he's jacked. He is into martial arts. He is all about it. He's Darth Maul, right? Like he's doing all those stunts. Lauren goes, can you just like hold me up for our picture? And he goes, it was so funny because he felt bad. He's like, I'm not allowed to hold anybody. He goes, but we can pose. And he said it just like that. And it was hysterical to me because like, this guy's Darth Maul, but he's such a sweetheart. It was so nice.
Funny. That's so cool.
Yeah. So Lauren was cosplaying as like Bella from Beauty and the Beast. And that's what her picture is with Ray Park, the guy who plays Darth Maul. Pretty awesome. There's a deleted scene from Phantom Menace where Anakin fights Greedo. They get into a little skirmish in the streets. I could take that or leave that because that's kind of irrelevant, I guess. But Greedo's a nice fan service callback. Warwick Davis, who plays Wicket the Ewok in Return of the Jedi, is in the crowd for the pod race. He is next to Watto. You can see him there, as he's in pretty much every Star Wars movie since.
Next to Watto or next to Jabba? Oh, really? I thought he was with Jabba's crew.
No, he's with Watto because they're kind of like they're the betting group.
Oh, okay.
And they all end up losing.
Got it.
Ora Singh is one of the characters that you see when the pod race goes by. She's like this. She got the ponytail, the real white skin. She's referenced later in Solo, which is interesting. I like that 3PO calls Anakin Master Anakin. That's a nice callback to calling him Master Luke. Just, another little bit of Skywalker continuity. Pernilla August plays Shmi Skywalker, who is Anakin's mother. I think she's actually perfectly cast. I know that's funny to say, but that was an important role to get right. Whether it was the emotional connectivity to Anakin or even just the looks. Like she looks the part of
Yeah.
who would be the grandmother to Luke and Leia, right?
For sure, no doubt. Wasn't Ora Singh also in Clone Wars like for a few episodes? Didn't she have a whole arc there?
Yes, she
I was
did.
Gonna,
She
I was
had,
gonna say she was
few
more than
episodes, I
reference.
think.
Yeah, I think there was an arc there with Ora Singh. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
No, for sure. Silly little stupid thing, but Newt Gunray says, "Take him away," and all the time in our household, Lauren will say that about Daisy. If like she needs some time, she'll be like, "Josiah, take her away." I don't know. It just stuck with us. We're crazy. Okay, we're gonna get back into visuals real quick. Coruscant is stunning.
Yeah.
It really is well done. Um, dude. Oh my gosh, 100% agree. By the way, this is my first time watching this with the 4K collection that I got. I read some reviews and they are correct. These movies don't look as good, even as the original trilogy, because of the way they were filmed. I don't know, like I can't really speak to that too much, but they're saying because it was digital as opposed to on film, that's a problem. I don't know if you. That's definitely holding true here, I'll say. So hopefully it gets a little better. It's no, and that's unfortunate. It does, and that sucks because I was hoping to really see the same level of quality that we saw with the original trilogy here, but is what it is. Uh, Interesting to me, Palpatine really manipulates the whole Skywalker family. He's manipulating Padme early on in this movie into opening the door for that Chancellor vote. He's pushing her with this whole. It is right. It's not just Anakin. It's not just Luke later on or Kylo Ren. It's here. It's with Padme.
Padme is
Interesting, right?
the first domino. Like she like that's his initial play. That's his in. Like that is like I'm gonna take this young queen. I'm gonna get her on my side. Vote of no confidence. How badass of a like political movement is that? Like that was a hype moment, and that he takes it and runs with it. That like Padme was his in to start this whole thing.
Yeah. And it's weird seeing it all like kind of unfold knowing what happens. Even if I don't remember any of the prequels, just knowing that that's who that is and kind of watching it unfold is kind of puts a different level of, hey, I know what's happening. You know what I mean? So
and it's Padme. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's Princess Leia's mother, right? And he can't manipulate Princess Leia. That's the whole thing. It kind of becomes a story of him versus her as the saga goes on. And I just think that's really interesting in hindsight, that the strong character that everyone loves in Padme. First domino, like John said. Let's go round table here. Do we prefer puppet practical Yoda or CG Yoda?
I'm gonna be in the minority overall. Maybe not here, but I prefer CG. I don't love puppet Yoda. Even rewatching the original trilogy, like it's fine. It works. Back then, it makes sense, and there's some nostalgia to it. But I'm glad we replaced him with the digital. Like watching the trailer, I'm like, oh, I always forget Puppet Yoda was in episode 1. I'll take CG.
JT.
CG, and I hope they do the Knights books. If they decide to bring those to the movies, they do some more CG with Yoda, with OG Yoda.
Tim.
I feel like I like the puppet, but I feel like a lot of people bash from the puppet because of the fact that it's an older Yoda, and I feel like that detracts a lot. I feel like people look at that, they see like an older, more decrepit Yoda, and they like the idea of the CGI, younger Yoda that you see in, some of these movies. But I'm a sucker for the original, so I'll be the minority here.
Most people say puppet.
Okay.
I am of the mind that the CG Yoda is better.
I like the puppet.
They had a what I consider to be a terrible puppet when they originally had filmed the Phantom Menace. I know they're trying to have a younger Yoda, but it really wasn't that young, right?
Doesn't
like
work.
only 30 years prior, and in their species, that's not much.
No, you think about the way like puppeteering translates to being old and decrepit. Like that's so much easier to choreograph with a puppet, right? Like so, it makes more sense for an older Yoda kind of work a little better than CG. So it works, always works.
I think CG Yoda is really, really well done when it comes to episodes 2 and 3. You get the original release of this, it's a puppet. You get the Blu-ray release in 2011, and they redo the CG Yoda to match 2 and 3 because they just weren't there yet in 1999.
I think 1 looks better than 2 and 3, to be honest, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. This new Yoda that they replaced looks better than 2 and 3. It makes sense because of the time. So
yeah, but it's an interesting just chronologically watching these movies again, like in the remastered versions, to see like a degradation in the character. It's not insanely noticeable if you're just watching them, but
no. I just remember the first time seeing episode 2 and being like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome!" When I was 12 years old. But anyway. I think this version is much improved upon the original release of Phantom Menace. There's a guy, the Jedi Council, he's the alien with the super long neck. His name is Yarel Poof. He's in the High Republic, John.
Sure is.
They've referenced him a few times.
So good.
Pretty cool. If you didn't know, there's an Easter egg. One of the C-SPAN and space moments. They're in the Senate chamber with all the pods and everything throughout. E.T., the species that is E.T., is in the Senate.
E.T. is Star Wars canon. Nope, Spielberg. He was supposed to direct
Star Wars canon.
He was supposed to direct
episode 1.
I thought he was even supposed to direct Jedi.
Yes, true.
Right?
Yes. And George Lucas asked him again for episode 1, and he was like,
Nah, son. Definitely not now.
But E.T.'s there.
In that same Jedi Council scene, wasn't Yaddle in that as well?
Yes, sir.
Yaddle there. The only other Yoda before Grogu.
Like Yaddle's death played an intricate part in Anakin turning towards the dark side as well. They were very close in the books.
Oh, really? Oh, non-canon, I imagine.
No, I just stuff that I read. I don't know if it is canon. I'm not
sure. I think you're right on that.
She died in a battle after the Clone Wars. No, before the Clone Wars, I'm sorry. And during his training. And obviously every loss of Anakin's ended up leaning towards his eventual turn. So
I imagine that's Legends.
Yes, at this point I think it is.
It is.
It's probably.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But really cool story.
Yeah, I'm with you, JT. I think the final battles throughout this are actually perfectly sequenced. So we've got the lightsaber duel going on. We got the space battle with the space station. How about that? Another space station. We've got the throne room going on. We've got the Gungan fight. And say what you will about all the different scenes, but I actually think they're well paced when you throw them all together and put them in a blender.
No doubt.
Kind of a nice balance.
I think the last third of this movie is awesome. Like unabashedly some of the best Star Wars you're gonna get. It is very, very good. And shout out to Padme's pistol, her James Bond super sleek, whatever that blaster is awesome. Awesome. Every time there's this one scene where she's hiding behind a wall and she's got it very, very Charlie's Angel, James Bond. I'm like, you go ahead, Padme. You go ahead.
You know, one thing I never talked about that I meant to mention is in Return of the Jedi when Princess Leia literally just shoots the guy off the top of the walker, and she's just instant headshot.
Oh yeah,
gone, and she's the only time you see her shoot the gun. Just instant.
She's
done.
clicking heads out there. Oh yeah,
yep.
she's diamond in Apex, no doubt.
Yep, easy.
She's
call her Tank Newton. I'm just gonna call Princess Leia Tank Newton from now
on. Princess Tank, I like it.
Yep.
So, Duel of the Fates. You know the song I'm talking about, right? That is that. Man, it was crazy. That's it. That's in the conversation for me for best all-time Star Wars scores.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's 1B for me probably.
What's 1A?
We'll get there when we get there.
So during the trailer that we watched tonight, interesting that the Imperial March plays, but that doesn't play throughout the entire movie here. Darth Vader's theme, right? Except for when Yoda is talking to Obi-Wan at the end of the movie and says, "Grave danger, I fear in his training." You hear slightly the Imperial March right in the background there. I get chills when Palpatine says, "Wipe them out, all of them." I think that is just so intense, and it's so well executed by Ian McDiarmid.
Especially knowing what happens in Episode 3, and oh boy.
Yeah,
Goosebumps.
Let's go. I love the fact that Anakin flies with R2-D2. Again, come on, man. It's nostalgic. It's Luke with R2. I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for fan service, if you can't tell by now.
I liked it.
Is there a cooler reveal in all of Star Wars than when Darth Maul is behind the gates and he just stares down an entire platoon of troopers along with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan?
Mm-hmm.
It's sweet.
That is pretty awesome.
Oh my gosh. And he's like,
Padme's just like, we'll go this way.
Yeah. Anakin, stay in that cockpit, damn it.
They've got this. We'll go that way.
We're going to let that go to the Jedi.
How cheesy it is when he's just like, Anakin's just accidentally destroying everything. Like, shot this.
It's an autopilot. He's like, it's fine.
Whoop. Finally
George
gets Lucas on in the middle of,
Oh, sure. Whatever.
So Qui-Gon's death, big deal. In the last year, we got a really intricate behind-the-scenes series on Disney Plus from the Mandalorian stuff. And Dave Filoni goes on a rant. If you haven't seen this, go watch it. He talks about why Qui-Gon's death is so important in terms of father figures in Star Wars. And I always felt some degree of what he was saying, but I had no idea how to quantify it and why it was important that Qui-Gon, who you could say is like the throwaway character in a way, is dying there. It's very relevant to what happens to Anakin Skywalker, who does not have this father figure in his life and goes down this path, even though he's got an Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's like a brother to him.
It's a brother,
right?
Yep. 100%.
There's a lot going on, but you guys are familiar with this, right? Like Dave Filoni talks about why George Lucas really had this on the radar, but this was never really talked about until Dave said it. And Dave was like his right-hand guy for a long time. Let's talk about that. Qui-Gon dies. After hearing Dave Filoni talk about this, that's a really, really devastating scene.
No doubt. It sets the stage for Anakin to no longer have a father figure and to not be on the right track, right? Like, this is the beginning of the end for the Chosen One.
It's brutal. Like, Tim and JT, do you know that sequence we're talking about that Dave Filoni mentioned at all?
I don't know. I didn't watch that piece, but I know what he's talking about. Towards the end there when. And I think you kind of see that throughout the entire movie. You see him trying to be a father figure for him because he doesn't have one, and then taking that away, I feel like builds on so much of what happens.
Even just think about the confidence in Obi-Wan. He didn't have that confidence in Anakin. He was questioning Qui-Gon, right? So
the only reason he did is because of
this Anakin situation was sort of forced upon him, right? He didn't kind of feel the same way that Qui-Gon did. So it's tragic.
The Qui-Gon as a whole was definitely one of the outside thinkers within the Jedi Order. You know what I mean? There's always those Jedi throughout the lore that kind of, I wouldn't say treaded the line of the dark side, but definitely had more of an open mind.
They bend the rules. Your Elzar mans, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And
it was awesome.
It was that. I think someone like that was Anakin's best chance of not turning into what he turned into, but
100%.
losing him immediately towards that wrong side.
Say what you will about father figures in your life, but like that is it right there. That's so important, and I just love the way that Filoni characterized that, and I know it opened a lot of people's eyes to the Phantom Menace and why this was so important, and I'm happy it did because it's such a redeeming quality for me. Kenobi versus Maul after Qui-Gon's death. Woo boy, that's some fancy lightsaber dueling there. That's a beautiful thing. What that choreography is really nice. This is where we really see the difference between the Jedi in this era who know what they're doing right? They're samurai, so to speak, versus what we see with Luke and Vader and Kenobi, who are kind of all remnants of this old religion, if you will. That is something special, I gotta say. I know some people have a problem with it. Not me whatsoever. Love all the prequel duels that we got. Last note I had. Loved the stupid little thing at the end of the movie where Palpatine pats Anakin's shoulder and says, "We will watch your career with great interest." GTFO, Palpatine! Get out of here.
So good.
I know. It's ridiculous, but hey, it is important. That's all the notes I had there. Guys, moment of the movie. Is there one moment of the movie, one quote, anything like that that sticks out for you? If you could put your finger on one. Anyone who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I think mine is just the pod racing in general. I just think that was to me, the best part of the movie, in my opinion, where it kind of, you kind of see Anakin and just seeing him race and, using a little bit of the Force to fix his vehicle. In my opinion, what I kind of thought he was doing, but I just like that moment a lot. When I was done with it, I was like, all right, this is awesome. It kind of was the high point of the movie for me of, that wasn't lightsaber battles and stuff like that I feel like you get in a lot of other stuff. It was, just some pod racing, a little bit of gambling.
Right.
So, which I liked.
I dig it.
All right, who's next?
I got one. So this is the third of 4 movies I'm going with basically the opening scene. And no, I'm not talking about the blockade disputes there. No. The second scene, okay? The first time we lay eyes on Jedi. So when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon get there, they're the ambassadors. They're quick little discourse. They realize something's wrong. Then all of a sudden they're fighting. And we get that promise of what the Jedi were told to be in the original trilogy. Yep. They bust out the lightsabers and immediately they're deflecting blasters and stuff like that. They're doing their, what'd you guys call the thing that never happens again when they go real quick?
Force dash.
Said Force run.
The Force dash. Yeah. They use the Force dash, all this awesome stuff. They're cutting through metal walls with the lightsabers. It's like, oh my God, this is what Obi-Wan was talking about, the Jedi Knights were back in the day. So just to set the scene for that, after having just watched the original trilogy, again, the Jedi, just breadcrumbs. Luke's awesome, right? But doesn't fulfill what the Jedi were promised to be for the most part. There's just so much more. There's a whole bunch of them, right? That we got a whole Jedi Council. So for me, it's the opening scene with the introduction to the Jedi in this movie. Just sets the tone perfectly for what these people are capable of.
The High Republic, The Light of the Jedi, book number 1, is akin to me what the Phantom Menace could have been if it was executed properly.
100%. The whole trilogy of those books, and I almost think that's I'm kind of biased. I'm like, I read those books and now I'm coming back and seeing more promises of the Jedi and seeing them for the first time. So probably a little bit biased there, but those books do it better for sure.
JT, that moment in the movie for you.
Anything with Jar Jar, it's just no.
You said big doo-doo this time.
What's the question? The boss's hand liver.
you have to just go with the final battle, the final fight, right?
The duel of the fates. I was leaving it for somebody.
I like that scene where they're just waiting for each other, right? When after Qui-Gon dies and
just waiting for the shield.
Just sits there and waits. He's like, "I'm gonna whoop your ass." Like you're thinking he's going to, right? And Kenobi's like, "I'm gonna whoop your ass." And it's just you can just kind of hear what they're thinking, right? And the confidence that Maul's exuding and the anger that Kenobi has, not typical in Jedi, right? For up to that point, we didn't see much, emotion out of Jedi compared to the beginning of the movie. So just to see Kenobi finally throw that out there was really cool. And Kenobi's my favorite character in all of Star Wars, to be honest. So, which is why I'm really excited for the series to come. So,
I think even more specifically for me, that moment of the movie is the microcosm within all of that. And it's when specifically Obi-Wan and Darth Maul are fighting after that last red energy field goes up.
Yeah,
just that choreography gets me every time, man. It's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, watch that over. Watch it even this sounds funny to say, but slow it down. You can do that on a Blu-ray on a 4K or Disney Plus. quarter or half speed. There's some pretty impressive stuff that goes on there. Can't wait to see what the future holds for Ewan McGregor and the Kenobi series, like JT said there. Favorite non-title character of the movie? So anyone not titled the Phantom Menace. So I guess that's anyone but Palpatine, really, right?
Oh
Can I
boy.
go first? 'Cause I know John wants this
no,
too.
no, go ahead.
It's Kenobi.
See, I just that wouldn't be mine.
Kenobi for me only. I think I'm looking a little forward to 2 and 3.
That's where I'm at too. So like,
gonna,
quick caveat. So Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character. I don't really like him in this movie that much. His hair is so stupid. His hair is so stupid. His hair sucks. It sucks.
I will say this one thing, and I can mention it. I'll mention this every episode in the prequels. Ewan McGregor. Now, although I do like the prequels myself, was not given the true platform, the best platform to be that much better. Like,
but it wasn't. It wasn't his story. It wasn't the time for it.
It wasn't his story, and I hope Kenobi is
the
right.
Clone Wars, dude. Like the Clone Wars are. We got it, and I'm not gonna. It's tough to.
We did. Not a lot of people. I'm saying just if we're just talking strictly
film. I get you. It's tough to say like, hey, yeah.
Me, I freaking watch Clone Wars every day if I can. And
I'm with you. It's tough to tell a mainstream Star Wars fan who thinks we didn't get enough Kenobi to go watch the Clone Wars. I understand that, but man, that's where that character develops, man.
It's Kenobi for me. I mean, I know it's really not even the Kenobi yet, too. I think that's to your point. He's still, what is he? He's not even. Is he a Padawan at that point?
He still is. He's still a Padawan. He gets knighted at the end.
Right. So that's not even the Kenobi that I like really fell in love with. It's episode 3 for me. So yeah, I mean that's kind of it's still Kenobi though. In the end, it is.
Tim.
All right, I'm gonna go Darth Maul. I just think I just love it so much. I love the contrast of the character. I love the way they designed him. I love how they introduce him of like, he's the guy who's gonna come in and catch him, and you kind of see, I feel like this is a good introduction if you're watching it from the beginning of how powerful the dark side is, that he can take on a Jedi Knight and a Padawan, and the Jedi Knight should be a Jedi Master. He should be part of the council, they basically said earlier on in the movie. Kind of seeing that he can take them both on at once and essentially almost win is pretty awesome. I liked him so much. I just think he was underutilized. I think you could have had a lot more there with him than he did. But overall, I love the character a lot. I don't think you don't see him a ton, but what you do see of him is just awesome. So
I'm going to piggyback off that real quick. He would be my character too. I remember when Clone Wars came around and that 4th or 5th season came about and they said, "Oh, Maul's back." And I was like, "What is that? That's ridiculous." And Maul and Yoda are my favorite Star Wars characters, arguably. I could get anywhere with them. But we talked about it already. To be kind of almost underutilized, it's a tough call, but to have seen more of him would have been really awesome.
Yeah.
Or to even get that Darth Maul video game that was canceled. Man, goodness gracious. That would have been sick. John, who you got?
I've got the main character. Qui-Gon Jinn. Come on. You kidding me right now? Qui-Gon is the main character of this movie. I think
for sure. Yep.
No, he is certainly the protagonist at which the narrative follows, right? So he's your main path. I don't know. It's just so charming. Such a it's almost weird to say this because this is such like an early take on the Jedi, but such a refreshing take on the Jedi. Like he's very much an Elzar man. If you read the High Republic, like they have the same archetype for sure. He's doing his own thing. He obviously respects the Jedi code, but he understands there's more to that. He sees what he sees in Anakin, and man, the fact that he can't see it through is super, super tragic. I just think that Liam Neeson crushes the role. Tons of questionable directing dialogue choices that I could probably make an hour episode of like, why was this line before this line? There's a lot in this movie, and he's at the helm of a lot of it, but it's because he has the most lines, to be honest, because he's the star of this movie. Qui-Gon's awesome, man. I would have understand why he's dead. Understand the impact of the story. I could watch tons of Qui-Gon content. I would have loved a whole series on him.
It's Liam Neeson, man. Big name. Yeah. Like, he's steering the ship here.
Is he confirmed to come back for Kenobi?
I don't think so.
But that I was just gonna say JT is my hope of all of that is that we get a Force Ghost conversation there.
Yeah, for sure.
Be awesome.
Just like Yoda got in Clone Wars.
I would lose it if we got that. I just
Somewhere
would be
else,
so
too.
excited. So yeah, for sure. Good times ahead, John. Great pick. Qui-Gon would be my other selection if I had a toss up between him and Maul. Maul, I just happen to have an affinity for, but man, great performance there, despite the direction in the dialogue.
In the bias aside, I do have the nickname Qui-Gon John and a few other groups I run with, but
I'm so upset with myself right now that I've never thought of it.
that is coined by Trevor Worth.
What?
Just think about the contrast we have. We have nice guy Joe, and then Qui-Gon John. I
Let's
think
go.
there's not a comparison.
Is there a comparison? I don't know.
Call me Jar Jar.
This guy Joe is not necessarily a good nickname. It's just rather.
Did you say Jar Jar JT? I like that.
Jar Jar JT.
Oh no! Stop it right now.
Goofy Harry Potter thoughts.
Oh boy, Jar Jar T.
So I think this is where we should end the episode. Let's talk about the rankings. John, I'm going to give it over to you. What do we got going on here?
We have to rank these? That's
We
part
have
of the
to.
show? Yeah. So here we go. Rankings are up. Current rankings, we've got The Empire Strikes Back at number 1, A New Hope at 2, Return of the Jedi at 3. John, any feedback on the original trilogy? JT, you haven't been here for the first 3. Any? So you got
Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope,
and then Return of the Jedi. So you've got
Empire Strikes Back. Can I spoil for the entirety of the? It's my number 1 almost overall.
I mean that's a pretty common sentiment, I would say, but
yeah. I think a lot of us feel the same way.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but
all right.
Yeah, I'm good with that. New Hope and Jedi, Return of Jedi can be a flip for me.
Right.
That's how it was for us.
Yeah,
I was
I would put A New Hope above Return of the Jedi for sure.
You did. It's in paper.
Yeah.
I would have gone.
I'm telling you, I did.
I would have gone Jedi, but I was the only one, so I got outvoted. I thought Jedi was just a little bit more fun than A New Hope. But regardless, we're not here to talk about that. We've got The Phantom Menace. Is anybody going to try to make an argument that The Phantom Menace bumps up ahead of any of the OT?
No.
Yeah, Joe, slap it down. It's all. I think that you
I will
look
force choke you.
4K. I'll
Yeah.
upres this video from 1080 to 4K for a 4K force choke. Yeah, you rewatch these movies and it does what it should have done. As a prequel, it does a good job. As a movie, as a standalone movie, does it do a good job? Questionable. But as a prequel to what we just saw in Star Wars and answering those questions we asked, I think it does a great job. I think it deserves that Force slot right now.
Can we be honest?
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly for me and the elements, all that great. This is like the Incredible Hulk for me. Like we can just throw it all away.
Oh, see, I don't know if I would go that far.
I'm there. I can't. Like I'm looking at the rest that's coming, and I'm saying it now. I'm biased with 2 and 3 because of the Clone Wars series. Like
it's tough not to be. It's tough not to be.
There's no way. I can't keep that. I can't filter that out.
I'm feeling it for the next couple episodes.
I don't want to tease.
I know
much,
Joe's
but
the same spot.
That's what, I'm not trying to. I don't want to do that either. But
We're gonna have some battles
Listen,
going
JT,
on.
I'm gonna reach across the aisle here and agree with you. I think it's. I mean, great. There's no surprise, right, that this is gonna be towards the bottom.
Right.
But I'll have to watch. I'm not gonna say which movie. Another movie that is gonna contend with it. It's not a prequel movie.
You're such a drama queen. It's a good movie.
Call me Queen Amidala, damn it. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I know what I know. You know what I'm thinking here.
Rogue One, right? Bottom.
You're not gonna be. You're not gonna be
bottom of the barrel for sure.
Joe. You're not gonna be alone.
No.
You're not gonna be alone in this. You're not gonna be alone in that thought. But we'll see.
So what can we just?
What's another word?
I'm not gonna be solo in that. So
I was trying to not be so on the nose.
Come on.
Solo?
Yeah, Joe thinks Solo is just so solo. We'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there.
Oh god, I cannot wait.
We'll get there.
It absolutely is.
I haven't watched it yet, so
we'll get there. We'll get there.
No, listen. As passionately as I'm going to argue some of the sequel movies, including Last Jedi, I'll leave it there. I'm going to argue Solo.
That's fine. We'll get there. I can't wait. JT, you have to be on the rest of these shows because we need the power of the vote. So.
Oh yeah, I will be there.
But again,
I want to see some stuff here.
Joe.
I can't wait. So yeah, new ranking. No surprise. We still have Empire at 1, A New Hope at 2, Return of the Jedi at 3, Phantom Menace nestled tightly under the tree at 4. If you
highest
know, you
it's
know.
ever gonna be.
Yep.
Can we just put it like 7 just for the fun of it?
We could do that, but it's
that high.
It's gonna be interesting to see. There's a lot of variables, man. Star Wars gets weird.
I don't think things are gonna get crazy until the sequel trilogy.
That's 3 movies away.
Right. No, I think it's gonna get crazy next episode.
Wait.
Yeah, it depends. I kind of know where John goes with this, but
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
I think we're gonna be.
We did hindsight.
Same page with the sequels.
A lot of time in between that.
JT, you said what? I'm sorry.
I think we're gonna be on the same page. It's gonna be a battle. If they're not on the same page as you, I think I'm with you on the sequels.
Okay, got it. I'm not gonna spoil stuff.
So my thing with all of Star Wars is I see both sides of everything because I understand like all right,
it's polarizing.
It's polarizing, but it's in my own head, so like I feel bipolarized. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna save it.
Save it.
That's right. I'll tell you right now. The sequels are gonna be a long talk.
So
yes,
this wasn't a short talk.
The Last Jedi spoiler cast we did is almost longer than the movie. I'm just saying. It's crazy. So, all right, we had a long discussion today. Star Wars review, The Phantom Menace. Good stuff, right? A lot of good stuff to pull from what is perceived as a generally bad movie. We had fun with it. It's Star Wars, damn it. We're going to enjoy it. So, let this be motivation, gentlemen, for us to keep going. Can't wait to see what the feelings are on Attack of the Clones, on Revenge of the Sith, eventually on Solo. We'll talk about it. We want to hear your rankings. Get on social media. Leave some in the comments. Tell us why we're right, why we're wrong. Can you make an argument for Phantom Menace to be above any of the movies we've already talked about here?
Don't be dumb.
Let's do it. Let's hear it. Let's get stupid. Let's wrap this up. John, social media, anything to plug for the Geekiverse?
At Disruptoid, having fun talking about all sorts of nonsense on Twitter, but follow the Geekiverse on TikTok. I'm having fun making videos about video games and Star Wars and stuff like that. TikTok at the Geekiverse. It's fun. Also, we just did an episode of our video game podcast with Greg Miller. Ever heard of him?
No,
you haven't. So insane. Yeah, exactly. So Greg Miller from Kind of Funny, one of the most prolific voices in the video game industry, I would say. We had the pleasure of having him on our video game podcast, Busy Stick. So check that out. Awesome episode. Again, TikTok, the Geekiverse. Follow me, you idiots.
It was super meta, you know. Greg Miller was on our show, on his channel. It was crazy.
It was
absolutely
meta.
Crazy.
It was the metaist.
The metaist. Take that, Facebook. JT.
I'm over at John_OTS, but you'll be finding me on these episodes because I'm about to go toe to toe on Solo with Josiah apparently. Because boy,
listen, it got ugly, okay? I had Del Reed and Jeremy White after me.
I'm sure.
I'm joking when I say this. They were trying to cancel me because of my opinion on Solo.
I mean, the jury's not out on that yet. I mean, got plenty of time to cancel Josiah based on his opinions on Solo.
I'm already dead. Tim Talbot.
Hello. Yeah, you can be find at Tim Tells and pretty much everything. So. But I've been streaming a little bit on Twitch, probably finish up Horizon and then dive into the next Horizon and then some Elden Ring. So
you're streaming that on Geekiverse?
Yeah, Geekiverse Twitch. So
yeah,
check it out. And can we just also appreciate the pettiness of JT to want to watch him in release order? So he boycotts the first 3 episodes that we do and then just joins for release order.
I never even realized
not
that.
Release
wow.
order. He just joins for chronological. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I'm busy, guys.
Just I'm busy. I gotta move. I got my life is so hard.
Surprisingly available now. You know?
what a turn of events.
Yeah. That's another level of pettiness. That's the Harry Potter level of pettiness.
I move for a vote of no confidence in JT. Let's go. All right, just kidding, JT. I love you, man. Lots going on. I am Brosiah, also on Twitter, on PlayStation, Xbox, social media. I am Brosiah. Check me out there. Lots of good stuff going on. We've got Busy Sticks, our video game podcast. We had Star Wars reviewed today. We're at the end of a 4.5 hour stream. My goodness, on twitch.tv/the Geekiverse. Check out our episode, as John said, of Busy Sticks with Greg Miller. You listen to podcast services across the platform for all of our shows. You can listen or watch the episodes at youtube.com/the Geekiverse. One other thing I wanted to mention that I failed to mention on our episode of Busy Sticks. The Geekiverse is all about charity, raising money for those in need. I'm going to be a part of what's called in Western New York the 11-day power play. Tim's going to be joining me for this as well. It is a very, very long shift of ice hockey. 4 hours. What the hell are we thinking? However, there's a much bigger cause at stake. All the money that is raised for that will go to a number of organizations, including one that we're very familiar with, as we do have done for 2 years now, Make-A-Wish Foundation. Camp Good Days also involved, Roswell Park, and Oshai Children's Hospital, very near and dear in the Western New York area. Money raised to that event is going to go to those charities. You can go to, this is a long URL, but I'm going to give it to you, communityshift.11daypowerplay.com/Brosiah. That's right. You can donate right there. communityshift.11daypowerplay.com/Brosiah. Funds will go to Make-A-Wish, Camp Good Days, Roswell, and Oshai Children's Hospital. Let's end cancer and let's do it all together. Wonderful cause. Ice hockey is a big staple in Western New York. We want to get there and do some good in the community. Last plug I have, I did a drum cover for the last charity event that we did. It was from Black Panther's Pray For Me. Again, youtube.com/the Geekiverse. I'd appreciate if you check that out, like, subscribe, and share. For the full crew today, for John, JT, and Tim, I'm Josiah. Thanks for sticking with us. May the force be with you. Have a great night. We'll see you next week for Attack of the Clones.